Hi, everyone. I'm Erica with Landmark Conservancy, and thanks for being willing and interested in learning how Landmark is doing land protection using climate science data. So a little bit about Landmark Conservancy. We are a nonprofit, non-regulatory accredited land trust, and we work in Northwest and West Wisconsin. It's a very diverse landscape, as many of you know, lots of different habitat types, water features, and then watersheds that drain both to the Mississippi River and also Lake Superior. We also have a diverse social makeup or human capital. Northern region is much more rural, dominated by forest economies, second home ownership, and then of course our lower region is dominated by more urban areas and more development. Here's a map of our service area. Our portfolio includes 40,000 acres of protected lands. We've either protected with conservation easements, which is the majority of our work, or a few land purchases too. So as you can imagine, we don't have the capacity to protect all land in all 20 of our counties, nor should we. Not all land's created equal or worthy of protection. So we really are having to prioritize our work. And we really want to prioritize and choose lands with the highest natural resource values that they have on them. So we were thinking about how to prioritize our work. Do we prioritize it based on habitat type? Do we prioritize it based on species? But we really understand that, climate is definitely here to stay, the changing climate, and it's impacting our region and also impacting some of the properties that we own. So we decided to use climate science to drive and influence our prioritization as to how we choose parcels. Now we wanted to focus more of our work on climate data. We had to lay some groundwork to get there. We had some funding from the Wild Rivers Conservancy and some different grants. We were using the Nature Conservancy's Conserving Nature Stages data. Had some help from the Northern Institute of Applied Climate Science. And then also a lot of our conservation partners were also looking at climate science data to guide their work. So I had a lot of support and started pulling data together. And we chose, instead of to focus on climate mitigation, which would be taking lands that we need to restore to get them to be more climate resilient, we chose instead to focus on lands that are predicted to be more climate resilient into the future. And this is just really the capacity of a site to maintain that species diversity and ecological function as the climate changes. Connectedness goes into this. So are there barriers in the species way as the climate changes so that will not allow them to move? Is the landscape already too fragmented? What does the flow look like? Are there corridors? Are they going to be blocked as they try to move from place to place? And then habitat diversity on a particular site also is very influential. What are the number of landforms? Are there wet areas? Are there cool areas? What do the slopes look like? All of that really influences climate resiliency. So we took a lot of different data and we used and we made then a lot of maps. And then this resulted in outlining several focus areas within our 20 county service area. We chose 3 areas to work in initially: the St. Croix River watershed, the Eau Claire River and Barrens area, and then the South Shore streams of Lake Superior, just knowing that we didn't want to take on too much too quickly in terms of our land and our outreach work. We wanted to really scale our work to our organization's capacity. We also recognized that we were probably going to have to work in these areas for a number of years to be able to achieve our goals of land protection. So then we used GIS to do more analysis to zoom in on these focus areas. That then helped us identify priority parcels that are predicted to be more climate resilient. And then here's how just one project might look, putting it into our analysis, and then also using the Conserving Nature Stages data from the Nature Conservancy. And from that, we get a score for a particular property of their resilience, the local connectedness, and landscape diversity. Once we know what parcels we want to target, we use a proactive landowner outreach campaign, lots of different materials, lots of follow-up, community meetings, phone calls, postcards, and then just really forming that relationship with those landowners. We also recognize that landowners are on a spectrum. They're not always going to be ready to do land protection right away. And so we try to meet them where they are at, keep them interested, and maintain that relationship with them in the hopes that eventually they will do a land protection project with us. Throughout our campaigns, we're using some best practices, sending out high quality staff, working with the landowners timeline on their sort of timetable, reinforcing those relationships, sending them information about us, and then also tracking all that engagement. And then finally, I'll mention the importance of valuation to really think about how we are doing. Are we actually targeting properties in our priority areas and then working within those areas? And that's mapping is a great way to evaluate. Thanks so much. If you have more questions, please contact Erica at Landmark Conservancy.